Welcome to a special edition of the Darden Admissions Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and today we are talking application tips. I'm joined by my admissions colleague, Christian West. Christian, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Brett. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Well, it's great to see you. Always wonderful to have you on the podcast. Today's conversation is all about the short answer questions. So I want to step back, though, before we get into short answer questions and just talk about the application process. How do you encourage applicants to think about the application process generally?
Yeah, Brett. I've shared this metaphor before with prospective applicants in that I like to think about the application as like a jigsaw puzzle, Brett. I don't know if you're a fan of puzzles, but I think it's helpful here where the different components of the application, whether it's the test scores, the resume, the interview, the recommendations, in this case, the essays, all comprise a piece of the puzzle to tell a complete story and picture of who an applicant is. The challenge for applicants is to think about those different components, how they can differentiate them to tell that complete story. The challenge for us as members of the admissions committee is to think about once that story is complete, how that individual applicant fits into our overall mission as a school.
Yeah, I love that metaphor because it is so much a storytelling exercise. And I think in the best applications, the candidate has really thought about how each element of the application kind of fits together to tell that story. I always encourage candidates to think about the application essentially as an initial introduction to who they are. And it's worth spending some time before you even get into the application, or at least as you're working on the application, to think about what do you want to make sure the admissions committee learns about you through the application. At the end of the day, what are the big takeaways about you? And I think if you develop that list of priorities, it really helps you think intentionally about the application process and how you can leverage each part of the application. So we're here to talk about short answer questions. And so how do you see the short answer questions fitting into the overall application?
Yeah, I think to dovetail on what you just mentioned, Brett, the short answer questions allow us to have more context and learn more about the applicant, especially in their own words and in their own voice. I always think about the short answer questions as amplifying other components of the application. So maybe there's a bullet line in their resume, and the short answer question follows up and tells that full story of an accomplishment. Or maybe there's a passion or interest at the bottom of the resume that I'll cursory look over, and then I get to the short answer question and I get to learn more about it. I feel like they really flesh out applicants' experience, their personality.
Yeah, I love that point because the short answer questions are certainly the part of the application where we're beginning to hear someone's voice, their personality, getting a feel for who they are personally. We often talk about the sort of three key dimensions of an application: the personal, the academic, the professional. To me, the short answer questions, they can touch on a lot of different things, but certainly where we're starting to get more of a feel for who someone is personally. And I think in the best version of the short answer questions, their voice is coming through and sort of getting that authenticity as well. From an applicant's viewpoint, obviously, we ask multiple short answer questions here at Darden. Currently, word counts around 200 words, so the emphasis is here is on short. But what's the value of asking multiple questions, in your opinion, for applicants?
Yeah, I think versus one longer essay, the short answer approach allows applicants multiple opportunities to show us different sides of who they are. If they're looking at our short answer questions, I also think it helps applicants understand what are the priorities or the values that we have as a school. I encourage applicants to kind of read in between the lines there, or take a look at our mission statement here at Darden, some of our strategic priorities. When they are able to put our short answer questions in the context of that, I think it becomes really clear of what's important to us and how they can align their own experience with that. I think it helps us as an admission committee walk away with a better understanding of how an applicant might be able to contribute to the Darden classroom and community, but also helps the applicant critically think on, is this the best fit program for me as they're crafting that application?
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's a two-way conversation, right? You're sharing, as an applicant, you're sharing about yourself, but we picked these questions for real reasons. And I can remember when we were working on the short answer questions this summer, one of the things that you were really emphatic about, and this really made an impression on me, and I still think about this, is being intentional about how do we think about these questions as connecting to different aspects of the Darden experience or different values here at the school. We could have picked any questions in the world, but we picked these questions, and really being thoughtful and intentional about why these questions and how they align with the Darden kindergarten experience and the values here at the school. In your opinion, what makes for a successful short answer question?
Uh, One that is additive to the application. And what I mean by that is, when we started off this conversation, I gave that metaphor different pieces of the puzzle, and they all have to work together. But it's also important to consider how you differentiate them. And I challenge applicants to think about the unique opportunity that the short answer questions provide. A lot of the other components, they are backwards looking. You've already taken courses, you've already set for the standardized test. The resume is a reflection of your previous accomplishments. I feel like the short answer questions are forward thinking. We're asking you about some of your goals and aspirations for the program, or uh, aspects of your personality that you would bring to the school. So when you're able to differentiate the short answer questions in that way, and ensure that you're giving us something new that we're not seeing elsewhere on your application, or additional context to some of the things that you're mentioning when they're additive, that really helps us out.
Yeah, I like that point. I think it gets back to that original point about intentionality and really thinking about the story that you're telling through the application. Of course, there are no right answers to our short answer questions. I think people get a little bit hung up on that sometimes, of like really trying to figure out what the admissions committee wants to hear. There's many different successful responses to our short answer questions. In your opinion, are there any missteps you sometimes see applicants make when it comes to the short answer questions?
Absolutely. I get a lot of questions about this when I'm hosting our MBA overview webinars or Ask Us Anything, where it's clear applicants are overthinking the writing process. These are short answer responses. There's not a lot of word count there. They're a snapshot of your perspective. So oftentimes when you read the prompt, the first thing that comes to mind is more than likely what you should write about. But just ensure that your response is a authentic reflection of who you are. We're not curious. We're not interested in hearing what you think about us. As at Darden, we're more interested in hearing about you. So when your short answer responses are a reflection of your own goals, your own passions and interests, when they're a reflection of your authentic voice, you're on the right track there. Something that I recommend applicants do is read your responses out loud for a friend or a partner or a parent, and ask them the question, does this sound like me? If they can say that, then you have the right approach there.
Yeah, the short emphasis is on the word short, as mentioned previously. And it's more of a whittling down, I think, for a lot of people. Maybe start with a first draft to kind of shape and mold it eventually to that 200 word or so response. Every writer needs a good editor, somebody who knows you well, who can kind of listen for that voice and your personality and the responses. And, you mentioned it earlier, but, one of the big questions that's on our mind when we're reading someone's application, we are trying to think about who this person is going to be here in the Darden community, in the classroom, outside of the classroom. And the more you offer as an applicant in the application, that sort of that gives us that sense of that voice, your personality, who you are, the easier that projection is for the admissions committee. Christian, you've given a lot of advice here, but I wonder if you have any final tips that you would want our listeners to keep in mind as they think about their short answer responses.
Yes. To dovetail on that, what comes to mind is that quote by Coco Chanel: "Before you walk out of the house in the morning, take one thing off." To me, that is edit. So as someone who reads hundreds of these short answer responses every year, it is very important to edit. The responses are a reflection of your professionalism, your thoughtful approach to the application, how you want to present yourself as an MBA candidate. So it is important to ensure that the responses are well written, are a reflection of your personality. So yes, find a good editor, someone to review your responses before you hit submit. And in the rise of AI, we get a lot of questions about this as well. Use those tools thoughtfully and wisely. We don't have a policy on this this year at Darden, but they are good tools. Just have an ethical approach to them if you're using them to help refine your short answer responses.
Yeah, one of the things that you shared that really resonates with me is in the application process, put your energy towards what you can still control, what's still within your control as an applicant. I think from an applicant standpoint, there's a lot of emotions as you're going through the application process. But if you can channel your energy towards those things, how you approach the application process, how you write your short answer questions, how you do your research and just learn about schools, all those things are very much within your control, and I think that's a good place to focus your energy and time. Christian, thank you so much for your time today. It's always great chatting with you.
Thank you, Brett.